Hi there, Belma from Work Bigger here, helping you do work you love that makes a difference in the world without burning out. Today, I want to talk about taking massive action versus taking passive action. This is something that I learned from one of my teachers and mentors. Her name is Brooke Castillo, and she's the founder of the Life Coach School. I highly recommend her work, especially if what I've been sharing here resonates with you. She has an awesome podcast that is super practical, and she talks a lot about the brain and our thoughts and our feelings. So check that out if you like what you're hearing here. It's called the Life Coach School podcast. So let's get into it. What is massive action? What is passive action? And why am I even talking about this today? Well, this is important because, when you have a goal, taking action toward that goal is really what's going to yield results for you, right? You can't just think your way to the results, and you can't just feel your way to the results, although the thinking and the feeling portions are really, really significant. But what you really need to do is you need to take action. You need to put yourself out there, because when you do that, right, when you're putting yourself out there, essentially what's happening is you're learning, you're growing, and with each action that you take, you get smarter and wiser. And ultimately, that's what gets you closer to the results that you want. So I'm going to use an example to demonstrate, and then we'll talk about how massive action and passive action apply here. So let's say that you've been at your current company for a couple of years, right? And you've done great work there, and it's been really great for the most part. But lately, the past several months, you've just started to feel like you're ready for a change, right? Maybe you're feeling really bored with the work that you've been doing because you've learned all there is to learn. And maybe you've even feeling burned out, right? You're frustrated with the current situation. You've really been ready for something new now for several months. So passive action in this scenario would involve thinking about the problem, right? Maybe you read a book on leadership or professional development and on how to up-level your career, right? Or maybe you explore going back to school, right? Or maybe you go to an event to meet new people, or you take a course, right? You feel like you're taking action toward making that change because in some way you are. What you're doing is you're educating yourself, right, on how to grow and what you need. You're expanding your learning and your education. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. I think this is really important in exposing you to new opportunities and just super helpful in learning more about yourself and in what you need. But it's really different from taking massive action, and it's really important to highlight the difference between the two. So that's what I'm going to talk about now. Massive action means that you've put together a thoughtful step-by-step plan, and you're executing on that plan. And ultimately, what you're doing is you're executing on that plan until you get the results that you want. Okay, so it's quite different. So if it comes to your career transition, right, going back to the example, you have a transition strategy in place, and it's well thought out. It includes all of the details. It includes the opportunities that you want to explore, who you're going to speak with, what opportunities you want to test out, right? You also have a timeline in place. You're committing to finding your next opportunity in the next 6 months, for example, right? It's specific, it's detailed. Or if you're taking a course, you're fully applying everything in that course versus just consuming the information. I talk about this with Work Bigger members all the time because we have a lot of courses in the Work Bigger platform, and even the videos that I share here, right? I always tell our members that it's really key to actually integrate the learnings. Consuming the information is awesome, and you're going to learn something new, but it's a game changer if you actually integrate what you're learning, you're applying them, you're putting them into action. You get very, very different results, right? The consuming piece is just step number one. So when you do this, right, and when you're taking action consistently, right, and you're learning from it as you go, and you're pivoting as you go, right, and you're not stopping until you've reached that goal, that's really massive action. And it's quite different because that's what gets you the results. All right, to use another example, right, so similarly to the career transition one, maybe you're launching a consulting business and your goal is to get 3 paid clients, right? So I just want to highlight some things that you may be doing that may be passive versus passive versus massive. So with passive action, maybe what you're doing is, you're speaking to other business owners, you're reading about entrepreneurship. Again, really important, but the massive action means that you are out there, you're executing different strategies, you're trying out different tactics, you're learning from those tactics, you're pivoting, and you're really not stopping until you get that result that you want, okay? So I hope you see the difference here. I want to call this out because this is really important. Oftentimes we feel like we're taking action, but it's not the kind of action we need to get results. And actually, I've also heard this from other, Work Bigger readers and members. Sometimes, I've heard things like, I'm taking all the courses and I'm watching all the videos and, I'm participating, but like I'm still like not seeing results. And the reason is because you need to actually apply the work. You need to integrate it, right? It's not just about watching the videos. It's not just about consuming the different resources. It's really about putting it into action and creating a plan and executing on that plan and being really thoughtful about what you're consuming and being really thoughtful about what you're testing, measuring it, and pivoting, right? It's very, very different, right? And what happens, what I see happening with people who are taking passive action versus massive, if we're not seeing the results that we want, we start to get really frustrated, right? And I see people beating themselves up and just creating a whole story around that in terms of, I'm not good enough, I'm not getting those results, and it feels really frustrating. And that spiraling is not helpful in achieving your goals. So it's really important to know the difference between the two and to really think about which category are you currently falling in. And is there something that you can do to shift so that you're taking massive action versus passive action? All right. So now I want to hear from you. I'd love to know, what is the greatest insight that you've had from this video today? I'd love to hear how this applies to you, where you're taking passive action, where you're taking massive action. And if you leave a comment, I'll give you some extra coaching around it. I'll guide you a little bit more. So share in the comments and let me know. And yeah, that's it. That's it for this week. I really look forward to hearing from you, to reading your thoughts, to hearing what resonated with you today and how this applies to you. And as always, if you know someone who can benefit from this video, please forward it to them. I would so appreciate it. And that's it. I'll see you next week. Work bigger. Take care.